What is up, guys? Welcome back to 9-Card TCG, and today I want to be talking about Digimon. I want to kind of go back to some card game stuff. We've been doing a lot of Pokemon Sword and Black 2 Randomizer, all that kind of stuff, but I want to take a little bit of time to talk about Digimon. I love the Digimon card game. I talked a little bit about how it's played, and maybe Pokemon could learn a thing or two in a video before, and you can find it up here, and we'll put a link in the description below. But I want to talk more about the survivability of Digimon as a card game. If you are not familiar with Digimon, or how many iterations of Digimon card games there have been in America over the years, well, there's like 4 or 5, and this most recent one released in America in the end of November, I think like November 20th or 24th, something like that. It was the end of November. So that was version 1.0. That was like what they're calling their sets. The sets of numbers. And I'm sure they have names like how Pokemon has, you know, Sun and Moon and Team Up and whatever. But they're going on numbers, kind of sticking with that computer digital effect, which is fine. I like it. Theme's always cool. But I hate the Bandai website, the official Digimon website. I do not really care for. It's cool because they have the card list up there, and that's nice. They have the event page. There's something about the UI and the layout that I don't really like. Website aside, that's just a personal thing. You might go on and love it, and not the point. The point is, in order for a card game today to survive and compete with Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic, Pokemon, and some of the other less commonly known card games that have popular or loyal fan bases, I should say, it's going to be really hard to kind of carve out a section unless they do it right. So what are some of the things that Bandai and the Digimon card game are doing currently, and how can they improve, or what do they need to do in order for Digimon to have long-term survivability? Because the last thing you want is for people to get excited about a card game, one, because maybe they're a fan of the franchise, maybe they picked up the card game in quarantine or whatever, and they're like, oh, I can't wait to get out and play this, it looks so much fun, but then it never happens because it flops. You also don't want people buying into a market for investing. People are buying product, and they are either hoarding or selling, flipping, and you don't want to buy a card thinking that it's going to hold its value, or it's going to gain value in the future, but meanwhile the game flops and you just wasted your money. Or I don't want to say wasted, but you could have used the money maybe a little more efficiently with some other type of investment. Part of this is because of the recent boom in Pokemon card sales and prices, which is starting to come down a little bit, but people are buying up lots of product. It's going to be really expensive to buy a booster box of version 1.0, and even version 1.5, which is the set coming out in February, the prices are starting to climb, and they've been up. So you want to be really smart about your money and your time and your research, but the thing has to survive for any of it to be worth it. Listen, maybe there would be some value in holding on to a version 1.0 booster box just because there's a limited number of them and the card game didn't succeed, so they never did reprints, and maybe, I don't know, I don't have a crystal ball. So what is Bandai and Digimon card game doing? Well, recently, maybe at the time of filming, 2-3 weeks ago, it was in mid-December of 2020, they had an online tournament, which I thought was great. I don't know why we're not seeing more of these, honestly. It was a small event, small in the terms of it was only a limited time event, it was just one weekend, and you played over webcam using Discord. So it was kind of like if you have your physical cards, then you can use them, and you'll just point your camera down, and you see this with Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm sure people do it with Pokemon, but man, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering all have something that Digimon at the moment does not. And I understand it's a brand new card game. Bandai and their divisions might not want to spend the money on building and creating an online platform for people to play the Digimon card game. However, considering how successful Digimon is in Japan, I don't see why it doesn't exist. It's not like there hasn't been Digimon card game video games or online card games for Digimon in the past. There absolutely has been. So there's definitely a base for it, and they've done it in the past. Yeah, when they built it the first time, or when they released that video game the first time, Digimon was at a higher point in popularity in the US. So I understand to a degree, but if it's so successful in Japan and you're trying to capitalize on that success and the just general success of card games at the moment, and seeing the price of Pokemon cards climb, say, oh, there's interest in card games, there's interest in trading cards specifically, there's no reason why it doesn't exist, or at the very least tell us that it's in the works, or that Japan has one and will get one eventually, or something. I need to know something, because I can't always do webcam battles. You don't always want to. Sometimes it's easier to just not have to talk to someone or chat with someone, and it has online matchmaking. So unless you're in a forum or a Discord or like a Reddit Reddit thing, whatever they're called, subreddit, that's it, there we go. Unless you're in a subreddit where you have like a group of people, like, hey, every week we're getting on at this time, it's hard to communicate, and it can be hard to line up events and schedules and everything like that. And Pokemon Online or Duel Links or whatever the Magic equivalent is, you just go on and play. There's no anything. You just get on and you play, and you're like, you know what, I don't even want to play a real person. You just go and you play against the computer, and it's incredibly easy, but it's mindless, and you do it just to kill a little time. But I will say, I don't want to make it sound like I am totally opposed to webcam battles. I love that. I wish I had more opportunity to use my physical cards. Like, I want to play with them. I want to feel them in my hand. I want to shuffle. I want to have like my hand. I want to have like my cards in my hand. I want to be able to play them, and there's something about physically manipulating the cards that just feels good and is satisfying. And I think it's something that everyone who's interested in card games likes. I mean, maybe, right? You might just only want to play online because it's easier. I don't know. But me personally, and I'm sure a lot of people watching, feel at least a similar way, right? I'm not insane. The other thing that I think is pretty interesting that Digimon is doing is they are having Tamer Party events. And these are in-store, local, small, I guess, gatherings or small events to kind of encourage people to try out the Digimon card game, maybe introduce it to them for the first time if they've never heard of it or didn't know that Digimon was back. I mean, I didn't know until maybe the beginning of November that Digimon card game was coming around, and it was from a random YouTube video just popped up on my suggestions, and I started looking into it. So maybe people don't know that Digimon is back in the US with a brand new card game. Maybe they do know, but they don't know how to play, or they haven't met anybody in the community yet. This is a great opportunity to meet people. This is just one small problem. We are currently in the middle of a pandemic, and I know it sucks to hear, and I don't like to say it, and I talk about it way too much on our science podcast, but it is the reality at the moment, and in all likelihood it will not be the reality forever, but for now it is. So to say we're going to have in-store events is great, and I'm looking forward to going to these events, and I can't wait to get back into my local card store and play and support them and be there. But right now I can't. And yeah, maybe I could go to a physical store, but it's just, I always advise against gatherings when possible, but that's the scientist in me. But what's cool about these Tamer parties or these Tamer events is that they will have alternate art for a couple of different cards. At the moment it's free, and you can see the artwork right here. It's just alternate art, and it's an incentive to get out there, go to these events. Maybe you pick up a cool promo card, and yeah, that's really it. You meet some people, you maybe get a couple of packs while you're there. I don't know how you want to spend your money, but what I do know is that it is a really cool opportunity. Maybe you make some friends, maybe you exchange, email, and then you could webcam battle if you're not super comfortable going in store all the time. Whatever, right? So it's always easier. It's always better to have a friend. I try to force Lauren to play Pokemon with me in our kitchen, like on our table. I have 2 physical decks. I have my fire deck and I have a Decidueye deck, and we just play, and she does not like it. And she does it because she loves me, at least, or so she says. But it would be so much better if I had friends, in-person, real friends to play with, not just randos on Pokemon Online. There is no denying the success of Digimon at the moment in Japan. Digimon has been around for a long time, 20 plus years, around the same time as Pokemon. They both became really popular in the late 1990s, early 2000s. That's when I was really into Pokemon, was 1999, 2000. I was like 9, 10 years old, something like that. And Digimon came out around the same time, and I was also very interested because the premise overlaps so much. There are cool creatures, they do cool attacks, and they fight, and what person wouldn't be interested in that? But Pokemon has always persisted, at least in America, as the I don't want to say the cooler thing, because I don't think I've ever been called cool for playing Pokemon, especially now at 30, but I don't care, I still do it. But Digimon has really fallen by the wayside, and the Digimon card game, the original one back in Japan, was extremely successful and well received. But the version that we got in America was not so well received, and mostly because of the very basic and boring rule set. If you want to read more or learn more about it, there are plenty of videos that discuss it. I want to talk about this one. There just needs to be events. There needs to be communication from Bandai saying, hey, we got more stuff coming for you guys. This is brand new, but we're hitting you hard with it. Japan has 4 sets, and yeah, it's been out longer in Japan, so obviously there's going to be more sets. But Japan has 4. We have 1, and we're getting another one at the end of February, version 1.5. And I don't know if they're going to go on to version 2 and then 2.5. I don't know what they're doing, but there's going to be more sets in the future. Just at the moment, we know of 2. But if there's not things to do, if there's not prizes to win, if there's not events to go to, if there's not an online format for people to play on, or a large, easy to find central location for community members and interested players to meet and discuss and say, hey, I want to play, let's exchange email, let's exchange Zoom, whatever. There needs to be something. I Googled Digimon TCG tournaments, I Googled Digimon tournaments, I Googled a bunch of stuff, and you find a lot of information. However, the information is on the success of these cards in Japan. So people in America are building decks and making strategies based on what's working over in Japan because there's already a track record of success. But that doesn't necessarily translate to success in America. Why? Because people play and think differently, and also the cards might not be exactly the same. They're probably going to be very similar, if not exactly the same, but there's always a chance for deviations and variations. The other thing is popularity. Maybe a deck that's really popular in Japan just doesn't quite bring it in the States for whatever reason. Maybe the people don't like the cards that are used, people don't like the strategy, whatever. And yeah, there's many different archetypes, and I firmly believe, or I shouldn't say believe because it's way too new, but I really hope that the Digimon card game will introduce more variation in archetypes and deck builds within specific colors than Pokemon has. This is something that Magic has, that, yeah, maybe you won't be the most competitive player, but you could probably go to your local card store and win with whatever deck you want or whatever deck you like. Pokemon has it to a degree. Yeah, I have a Ninetales V deck that I play, and it does pretty well. I've beaten ADP with it. I've beaten pretty much every deck that's come across it, every major archetype that I've come across at some point. Is the most consistent? No, but anyway, that's not the thing. The thing is, I want variation. I want variability. I want to come across different decks. I don't want to be playing the same Pikachu, like dual Pikachu tag team deck. I don't want to be playing the same Centiskorch or the same ADP and the same Luke Metal. Like, yeah, there's 5 or 6, maybe even 10 competitive decks, but once you play them, it's like, damn, I want to do other things. And yes, on the competitive scene, the high tier competitive scene, the meta decks, the high performing winning decks will be what's used because those people want to win. But even in casual play, what are you likely to see in a game where you have to spend money to play? If I really want to play a deck, I'm not going to spend a lot of money buying other decks or other cards to play with on the side. Like, no, I'm going to spend money on a deck or a set of cards that I'm going to use casually, competitively, and that's going to be my deck. Maybe other people have been playing a lot longer and they have a wider collection of cards and they can make several decks. I only have the money at the moment to buy the cards I needed for the 2 decks I have, the Decidueye and the Ninetales V. And yeah, I have a Venusaur, but I have to I don't have them ready to go. I'd have to swap out. I have like the base for 2 decks is really what it comes down to. And Digimon, the reason why I think it has the advantage in this regard over something like Pokemon is because Pokemon, you have a wide set of cards, but most of them aren't particularly helpful. Most of them aren't useful or even good. But at least at the moment in Digimon, even if you have some cards that you need to fill up deck space, they could be lower tier cards that you'll just evolve onto, or you use them as fodder to discard from your hand when you play another card, or when you evolve up and you have to trash a card from your hand or on the field, or whatever the play calls for. You can use cards that are less than ideal in a Digimon deck because of the inherited effects, because of the necessity to discard cards. In Pokemon, the decks are so tight. This number of staple cards that you need to be competitive is so high that there's not a lot of room for teching. Yes, there's some. And someone in a previous Digimon video was talking about high tier players will always have the ability to tech and spec, but it's only to a degree, right? How many decks have you really seen? How many Eternatus VMAX decks have you really seen that have deviated tremendously from the norm? Probably not many. Maybe 1, maybe 2. And did you beat that deck? Or did it crush you? That's the difference. Yeah, it can deviate all at once, but if it doesn't win anymore, then it's not effective competitively. So the need for staple cards, the need for consistency in Pokemon is extremely high. And I think Digimon, I don't want to say has a little more redundancy in its cards, but because of the security cards can be played instantly if you get a security card that has the play now effect. Kind of like shields in Duel Masters. Sometimes you get those triggers, whatever they're called. Pokemon doesn't have that. Yeah, you have your prizes, and you might pull a really useful card from your prizes, but you can't play it until it's your turn. So you still have to then use whatever cost or any. You see what I'm saying? So I think the ability to build and spec decks and change them up and kind of build around what you want to play is a little bit greater in Digimon. All of this said, does it help with competitive? That doesn't mean Digimon will be around for years and years like Pokemon is. I have no idea. That's not for me to know. That's for Bandai to force. Bandai and the Digimon TCG parent or organization, whatever they are, need to make sure that supplies are distributed. I just saw in a Facebook post, I think it was, where the starter decks are getting delayed in distribution until February, which is a bummer, and it's of course because of COVID and production and distribution issues and all of the things that happen in logistics that are slowed down because of the situation. But it happens, and it is happening regardless. Yeah, I understand, but as someone who wants to play a card game right now, them and their friends or their family, or they just want to go to the local card store, are they going to be really understanding and wait until February to buy the starter deck? Or will they pay the extra money to buy it off of eBay or whatever card store on the internet selling it at a higher price? Or are they going to go and see a Magic the Gathering deck on the shelf because it's been around so much longer and the product is there and available. They're going to grab a Pokemon deck because there's a bunch of them readily available. Same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Or are they going to say, I don't want to spend the money, I want to play online, or I don't want to go to this. What are their options? Well, Pokemon, I can play online and I can play in person. I don't need the physical cards. But if you're a new player and you want to play Digimon online, you do need the physical cards because you're playing over webcam. So there's a give and take with this kind of new card game, and having the supplies on hand is extremely important. I understand. It happens. This is an unprecedented situation, and the logistics and production of this game was probably in development, and it was definitely in development long before COVID happened. So it's a little out of their control, but it still is a factor. And it's unfair, but it's the reality. It's the real world. These are customers who are going to want to spend their money or their time, or conversely choose not to. So really, all this to say, I want the Digimon card game to succeed. I want more games for people to play. I want options. I love being able to go on my phone and play Duel Links, or the Elder Scrolls card game on Legends on my phone. I want to be able to go on my computer and play Pokemon online. I want to be able to force my wife to play Pokemon in our kitchen. I like to have options based on where I am. What am I doing? How much time do I have? Maybe I don't have the time to go on a forum and look for a person to play Digimon over my webcam. Maybe I don't have the desk space to do it. I know when I'm streaming, I pretty much don't. So they need to step up in terms of support for players. They need to turn up in events. Like once events can go, and they need to pop off. They need to be just slamming events. They need to have promo cards. They need to be having mini tournaments where they, maybe giving play mats or giving packs or giving something away. And it has to happen. There has to be interest, because otherwise, why do it? Yeah, it's cool. They're cool card, and you might want to collect them, but why play? Why do anything if there's no incentive or motivation to do it? I know we kind of bounced around a little bit, and we talked a little bit about several different topics, but overall, I want to just kind of summarize the video. Digimon's survivability in the next 2, 3, 10 years really depends on a couple of factors. One, Digimon has to have events, whether they are online or in person. It needs to be events for people to participate in and get excited about. Two, there really should be an online format for people to play, whether it is an app, whether it's a website, whether it's a central hub for enthusiasts and interested players to get involved and talk amongst themselves. There needs to be something, and I'm sure something does exist on Reddit, but there needs to be something official from Digimon and Bandai. 3, we need to learn about upcoming sets. I don't want to just be going on to the Japanese Bandai website and looking at card lists. I want to hear from the English production, and I want to hear from the English division from Bandai and Digimon. Are there going to be future sets? Hey, we have sets coming out whenever. I don't want to know about one more set coming in February and then silence. I need to know other things are happening, because why waste my money if there's not going to be more content to consume, if there's not going to be more cards to collect in the future. I think that's kind of it. I would like to see a little more on the Digimon website. Like, you go on right now, there's one event, and it's an event that already happened in, like I said, it happened in the middle of December. So outside of that, what is officially happening? And I know, again, it's a new game, so I get that. They need time to get players. You don't want to have Bandai host this big event and then not enough people show up, or too few people show up where it looks like there's no interest in the game. I get that. There's a whole marketing and PR kind of approach to this, where you have to make it look like people want to play. But there are tournaments in Japan that get 60 people more, probably, just based on one of the websites I was looking to send the number of participants. You have easily between 30 and 60 people in a given tournament. I mean, for a local tournament, for or a small tournament like that, that's pretty significant. I mean, I'm trying to do the players challenge in Pokemon Online, and the stores near me, I can barely get 3 players. I haven't participated in one yet because we can't even get 4 players, because there's no outreach. There's no, unless you go on Pokemon Online and you happen to catch that one slide, that one revolving slide saying, hey, participate in a team challenge, which it doesn't even tell you what it is. You have to click the link to go find more information, or be actively searching tournaments and competitions. You won't really know about it. So there needs to be outreach. There needs to be some type of communication from Digimon, from Bandai, to say, hey, we want you interested, we want you engaged. And yes, that's the purpose of the Tamers Party. I really don't like that name, but you know, maybe some people do. I would like something that sounds a little more, I don't want to say adult, but something that doesn't make me sound like I'm going to Chuck E. Cheese for a pizza party. That is the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts on Digimon, the survivability. Will it be around for more than 2 years? The other card games didn't, so my faith in Bandai is not the highest, right? But I am giving them a very optimistic approach or outlook because of the advanced rules on the game, the inherited effects and the memory, and just honestly the absolutely sick artwork on the cards. I looked at some of the cards upcoming in the Japan card list I mentioned that was on the Japanese website, and some of them just look incredible. I mean, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on them. But I need to actually get my hands on them, so they have to be, then the game has to live long enough for us to get those cards. But anyway, let me know, do you think Digimon will survive? If so, how long? Are you interested in playing? Did this video make you think about something a little bit differently? Have you been looking for events but can't find them? I'm a little frustrated with that myself, but maybe I'm just not looking at all the right avenues. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you know when we put up new videos. It helps the channel tremendously. I mean, look, you look at the little number of subscribers I have, right? If you want bigger conversations on these topics, I really need the support, and that happens from subscribing and liking the video, truthfully. That lets YouTube know that other people might be interested in this too. And I know, you know all the things. I say this every single time. You know the things that help YouTube channels. So I'm going to stop here. And yeah, I feel like I don't want to say the word, but I feel like someone who begs for attention on the internet, and I don't like it. We'll see you next time.